Good evening and welcome. Please be gentle tonight. It's a bit rough. Um, Everything is a bit rough, except actually maybe not. I just need to unload a bit while you guys are settling in. So sorry about that. You're welcome to just grab a cup of coffee or tea or beer or whatever beverage or something while I rant and ramble a bit before we dive in. It's always a good practice to just warm up. It seems that I don't know if that's a Danish saying. Like you can be lucky in 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 gambling or in love, but you can't be lucky in both. Kind of, right? It's a little bit more flowy, but there might be something to it. Uh, in it does seem like they're sort of mutually exclusive. When I'm having absolutely a dry spell in my social life, then those are, or actually, let's say the other way around. When my online life is thriving, then that's usually coinciding with absolutely nothing going on in my social life. And when things are just absolutely miserable, then I was about to say, well, everything is awful, but it's not actually. Outside of my online presence, things are actually going really well. But and then it just dawned on me that maybe those two things are sort of mutually excluded. That and not because of sort of some cosmic karma, but uh, maybe there's when there's nothing really going on, no new games to dive into, or more likely, if there's a new game, then will dive deep into that and just lose myself to that. And as I lose myself to that, it's in game, sure. I lose myself to that, and that obviously means also that I just don't have time for anything else. Let's go there, and then that kind of, yeah, then we just get the beeps from the radar instead. There you go, moving away from the radar. And kind of when there's nothing going on, sort of on a gaming wise, and then it's much or easier to focus and take a day off here and there, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. And because nothing's really going on, and I just can't really catch a break. Usually, I can say that there's one thing that's working well, or like I always count it as YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon as sort of separate things, and then like okay, if one is down and one is neutral and one is up, then it's okay. But right now everything is down, and it and I'm like looking at the content I'm making for YouTube, and it's really the content I want to make. It's let's trying new games, revisiting old games that are fun, like doing Valheim, doing now Timberborn, and doing some Factorio as well. And it's just like nothing works. Nothing works. And that's the worst part, because if I was starting to sort of like, okay, I'm going to be releasing 27 or 57 episodes of a Let's Play of Jedi Survivor, then that would be okay if it didn't perform well, because it's not supposed to be performing well. Thank you, Lokium. Thank you for the 10 months. But this is actually the stuff that should be working, like Timberborn guides, tutorials, Factorio content, and it's not. So I'm like, what the hell? Usually I can sort of hide behind the idea that, well, I could always do X, Y, and Z and then it would work. But now I am doing that and it doesn't work. Thank you.
Returned.
Or I don't know what that 03RD1337. I'm sure that's how it's pronounced. Thank you for the 2 months. Welcome back. And that's kind of it's really bugging me that I just can't really seem to. Transferring to an agent now. Please hold. Thank you. All right, I am going to do a PlayStation support now. So let me do that. PlayStation ID you entered in the chat. We'll be working with. Okay, so I need to do this. Hey, thanks for helping out. Just starting it. Okay, I bought Jedi Survivor and played for about, let's say, about 2 hours yesterday. But then the game wouldn't let me fly out of the first zone, as it said you must download additional content. So I exited game, and I'm sorry, I have to do this. I have to go and check for updates. But it was the latest update already installed. After trying multiple times, I had to give up, and I my
gleaming
thank you.
endowment.
Okay, sweet. That's there you go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've been sitting in a queue for the last half hour. I'll be more than happy to. In this occasion, working with the account, use kind and provide the following information: an email that you have access to, a phone number you have access to, first and last name. Okay, sure. Then I'm not gonna read that aloud. There. All right. I'm just. At least we're getting somewhere. That's an email address and a phone number. That is a phone number and a, what is the name? First and last name. There you go. It will take 2 weeks before they resolve anything. Well, this is not EA support. This is PlayStation support. Oh, I saw someone do something. There was a sound. Oh, Anonymous. Thanks for all the Factorio content. Love your watch your Mega Base series. Thank you for the €15 donation. Thank you. I just came in sneaking in there. And oh, another one with a weird name. What's with that? Is that Scrub Zone? Thank you for the tier 1 for 6 months in advance. Appreciate it. And welcome. That's a commitment. Now I don't have to be nice to you for the next 6 months. That's really nice. Let's see. Well, at least I have Julio A to help me out. You never know. Sometimes these supports, sometimes it's a pain in the ass to get to a support, but when you get to someone, they're usually helpful. And then you go like, oh, that's nice. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to get through, and then it's just a miserable experience anyway. Like, this is the one thing that, like, think about EA, they're so big, and PlayStation, they're so big. So when EA makes an absolutely shitty game, the game is good, but all the things around it, like you have to use EA, and it's monstrously expensive, and if you bought it on a disc to make it easier, then you don't get anything because you still have to download 100 gigabytes of game content anyway, because they haven't figured out their shit how to patch it properly. And that's First person to ever get it right in the first try. Thank you. Well, I am very elite in that regard. Ooh, Julio is writing. Let's see. Let's see. Can we do a prediction in chat? Do I get a discount? Do I get a refund? Yes or no? Can we just do a quick one and then I'll read this. Oh, never mind. That is the worst. So it just says, we're unable to assist you. We provide support for PlayStation Network accounts designed for use in North and South American region. Well, it's their fucking website I clicked on, so you direct me to the right place. And then it says, creation of an account within a region where you do not reside is a violation of the send terms of service. I do not. No one says that I'm doing it inside a region. Oh, fuck off. Give feedback. Then I click feedback, and what happens? When you click share feedback, it just closes the window. It doesn't even give you a chance to provide feedback. And this is the part. Like, there is no way to punish these kind of companies. Like, you can't. There's no way to punish Apple or Facebook or Google or anything, so they can just gradually decrease their service and increase the draconian measures of their terms and service, and just continue just make a worse service, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. And that just pisses me off so incredibly much. We received no negative feedback. Exactly. And it's just like, there is just no way to impact anything. Like, there's zero. You can just refuse to buy it, but it's really hard to refuse to buy the services of those megacorps. They are, for all intents and purposes, ubiquitous, and it's just I hate it. This is why I don't generally play AAA games, because it's just always a miserable experience. It's such a shitty product they deliver, and they get away with it. Like, remember Cyberpunk, how awful a game that was? And after 4 days, they broke even of 8 years of development from pre-orders and just the release days. And the game was shit. And maybe like 3 years later now, it's good, but they not only got away with it, there is nothing that would tell any other company that what Cyberpunk did was bad. Like, objectively, they broke even in 4 days, and it wouldn't even matter if they even never even delivered a game, because who cares? They could spend the next 3 years on fixing it. And this, like, yeah, sure, there's negative feedback, and it's on Steam, and who cares? And there's a little bit a buzz about how awful the performance is on PC, and people go like, stop buying pre-orders. And objectively, if you look at it from a corporate perspective, there will be some architects, lead game designers who are pissed off, and they were like, I told you it was not ready, we should have delayed it. And at the end of the day, if you go a little bit higher, they go like, nah, we shouldn't. Doesn't matter, we got the money before the end of April, we can put it in, we get better cash flow, it's all good, it's fine, you just keep working and fix it over the next couple of years, we'll ride out the storm, it doesn't matter, we got the money, and that's the only thing that matters. And we got it in the April, in April instead of in May, and that's good, and that helps our cash flow, and blah 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 blah. And all of it just means that objectively, it was exactly the right thing to deliver a shitty system before it was ready, and then just fix it later on instead of waiting until it was ready. And it sucks. It sucks that it is that way. So yeah. Hello Nimitz, thank you for your compliment and welcome, first time chatter. So that's, man, that's so frustrating. It is so frustrating, and it just gets me in such a bad mood. Also, I checked the Danish support. I was like checking various pages, and so I went to the Danish support, and they only have email support. But check this out. their email support has opening hours. They only open for email support Monday to Friday from 10 to 6 p.m. From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's fucking email. How can you not? You can't even, you can't open a support ticket. You can't do anything because their email inbox is just only open those. And that is just, oh my god, I hate it. Yeah. So um, that's also one of the reasons why I like working with indie developers, because can have a bigger impact on the development, positive and negative, mainly positive. And that's just really a lot more rewarding to be part of it and provide feedback and see the feedback. Sometimes feedback can be implemented, and you can help sort of, for Ixion, for example, I felt that I did something to sort of build up momentum and help sort of explain the difficulty, and like I felt that I was helping them out with their launch, because there were some negative feedback that was, in my opinion, completely unwarranted, but it was now something that that I could do my little part in helping. And likewise, if something was utter shit, I could just stop playing it, and then when people ask me why I'm not playing, I can say I don't think it's a good game, and then yeah. And desync, for example, yeah, it's also a thing where we can provide some feedback, and they appreciate that feedback coming from a small time content creator as well. And that's just so much more rewarding, being closer to development, and also the discipline that game developers like Coffee Stain, for example, they're still pretty big. So they're not really like totally indie, but um, I guess also Darkest Dungeon is also getting a little bit bigger. Both are self-publishing, but something like, let's say, Timberborn or V Rising, they are, or Clay, any Clay games, like there's such a close connection to the community, such a good dialogue about upcoming things, bug fixes. That dialogue is just, it's amazing. Even though you can't really affect what's going on, then it's just great to see that there's a dialogue. And I love the fact that for Coffee Stain Studios, they came out and they were like, okay, we run into some problems, and I can't even say what the problems are because that wouldn't be fair, but we run into some problems, and it's going to be a little longer, and I don't want to give you a deadline. That's brilliant communication. It doesn't help us much because it doesn't tell us anything, but it does help us in the sense that it is honest, and it is we're on the same side. When Jason Snoot communicate, we're on the same side. We might not have the same objectives, but we're striving towards that. They all want the best possible game. How the best possible game looks, there might be a difference in perception. It's their game, so they get to decide. But that's like when you see marketing for AAA games, then you're like, okay, but why have we not seen the game yet? Like, remember Elden Ring, 3 months before the release, we actually got to play the entirety of the first zone. Like, that's amazing. That's I don't know, 1/8, 10th of the game they just dumped, and that meant the whole of the engine was working, and the leveling, all the environments, the combat, all that stuff was working. And that was 3 months before release. And I was like, damn, they want to provide a good game on day one, and they did. It was an absolutely fantastic game on day one. Some performance issues on some specific configurations, but that was not much and fixed pretty quickly. And then look at the opposite of with Cyberpunk, where there was just massive hype, but you never got to see the game.
Returns.
There were like small scripted parts that they had pre-recorded, but it was never like, hey, play the game, tell us what you think, or 100 people played the game, or it's. And if anyone got to play the game, it was like the completely biased in the access media, because you can't trust GameSpot or whatever, because they live off of giving good reviews to games, so they have to be able to, they have to kiss their ass to get the next version of it So, thank you, Jaguar. Thank you for the 17 months. Yeah. Gold standard of AAA Anthem. I don't know what that is. Captain Industry does too. Personally replied to any issues I've ever reported and solved it shortly after. Yep, that's true. But that's the thing. Like you'd think that if two guys building a game can reply to feedback, why can't a company where there's might be like 400, 500 people working on this game for many years, like how can they just have one guy who's managing the Twitter and just pushing out lame memes or something like that? And like, why? Why? Why is that just completely unable to scale? And of course, the number of people, but there's also like if you if you think about like the level of communication, the sincerity, the directness, the honesty, um, from a company perspective, then the bigger the company, the worse the communication gets. And sometimes maybe that one two developer um, is not able to reply to everything, but that's fine. But there's certainly a thing that it feels like Coffee Stain and Darkest Dungeon, those are just within my domain. They're outliers. They're anything bigger than that, or what I mean is like there must be like I feel there's a curve where the level of communication or the quality of communication with community drops depending as the size increases. And and you notice games that are significantly above the line or below the line of expectation. And Coffee Stain is above that line. Darkest Dungeon is also above that line, or Red Hook Studios, I should say, because they're very communicative, they're very open, very much willing to test things and roll it back if it doesn't work. Well, then you get into bigger games, and it's just like now it's just like pure corporate marketing. Here's a thing, and here's an advertisement for the super ultra mega premium pre-order that you can buy. That's only $120, but you also get a cardboard cutout, that kind of thing, right? The bigger the company, the bigger the stakes, the bigger the risk awareness. Averseness? No. Yeah. Yes. Sure. 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 But you mitigate a lot of risk with communication. And so just saying like that like also, so the company I work with in my corporate days was also like they sucked at communication. And there was like 20 people working in global marketing, and they were just having meetings about what color the templates, the PowerPoint templates should have, whether there should be a red, seriously, whether there should be a red in the official template for the company. Like you can no, no, we don't want a red. We can have an orange one, but there can't be a red. Like they have long meetings about it, but they have no social media presence because everything is just a big circle jerk in photographic designs. Yeah, but they have an excellent what is it called, corporate identity manual, like 300 pages of just like the spacing between the logo and the lines, and like the truck has a yellow trim along the edge of the trailers, that color yellow, and how big that trim is, how much spacing there should be to the logo, and how close the logo is allowed to be to other things, and all of that stuff. That's it's fascinating for people in that world, but it's also like utterly irrelevant for 99% of the business, while at the same time there's no communication outwards. Done great there. For nerds, they are just technical manuals. This one was a good one. I showed it to some designers, and they were just it was like they were looking at porn. That was how excited they got. So yeah, so it's that part where losing touch. And I remember Blizzard in the good old days, where they were trying, but man, was that was probably the case for why big companies don't do it anymore. Like the amount of harassment the blue ticks got on the on their forums whenever they posted something, and they were working really hard, but World of Warcraft players are notoriously toxic. Cement Cat, when I worked for Dell's internal audit department, we had another department completely reject our audit report because they said we used a square bullet instead of a round bullet. Exactly. That's the part. Exactly. That's the kind of thing like, oh, well, that goes against the design codex. We can't really do it. And I was like, oh, really? It's kind of bluish, right? Whatever. But you know, if you're if you're employed in a global marketing as a designer and your responsibility is the identity manual, then when you get a PowerPoint with a slightly off color blue, then if you don't freak out about it, you're not doing your job. Because you have to pretend that your job is important. So you have to make a big deal out of it. Straight to the CIO. Like, you have to make sure that they are sticking to the graphics design manual. That's the kind of thing. But it's anyway, it still boggles my mind how the bigger the gaming company, the worse the communication gets. It just really, it really shouldn't be like that, but it is. And I don't know, I just it's so weird. Like, you can also say like there are also cases of small companies that do an absolutely atrocious job in communicating. Voop comes to mind. Voop is absolutely horrible at communicating. Like, we've not heard from him in 2 years. His only thing we've heard about was like, oh, we do something for Apple. By the way, the expansion is not coming anytime soon. Yeah, you can try phone companies, electricity. Yes, anything that's related to utility, they don't. They have to do the absolute bare minimum to not get sued, and that's it. That's it. Um, that's anything that's a utility. I remember British Telecom, for anyone in UK, when I lived in UK. British Telecom was just like several afternoons of just getting bounced off from one outsourced department in India to another outsourced department in India that just, it, oh, it was just ridiculous. Yeah, that's that's kind of how it is. But you know, it is what it is. Financial software, it's the same. Do the minimum the regulation requires. Yeah. Also for consultancy, like, the optimal service you deliver is just enough that the customer is not going to be able to sue you. But if you deliver more than that, yeah, well, you really want them to keep paying. So don't over deliver. Do absolutely bare minimum. Of course, it's not always like that, but there is a part about, you can easily over deliver in a consultancy world or an IT implementation world, and if you over deliver, you don't get any benefit from it. You just raise the expectations and you don't get any reward and get punished for it in anyway, right? We have an unprecedented amount of calls and you're on hold for at least 20 minutes. Yes. And that's Hulkamania, that's, I am I'm guaranteeing you that it's because their statistics show that if the queue is longer than X, then people give up. And if people give up, then that's less people they have to hire for their call center. And then you can make some cost savings by just increasing the and by having fewer people, then you also have longer queues. And there's sort of like balance of maybe you don't want to have 1 hour long queue, but you definitely want to have more than 20 minutes. Like, a lot of places in Denmark is coming to the part where, like, at least public, when you call the IRS in Denmark, you call them and they'll go like, we're very busy right now, because everyone always calls at those specific dates when new information is available. Very busy. You're in queue, and if you enter your phone number, we'll call you back. And that's nice, because then you can just type in your phone number, do something else, and then half an hour or 2 hours later, they'll call you back and then go like, oh yeah, by the way, let me just find my whatever claims again. Don't trust the service if you can't get through immediately. I bet there's something that also says people don't trust the service if you can. Maybe, I don't know. Like, the place where I bought my PC, I'm buying it because they have the best service. They are not cheap, but they have the best service. Like anytime I've had an issue with my PC, I don't think I have lost a stream day. The day that it happened, and then the next day I go there in the morning, and then it's always fixed in the afternoon, either with a replacement part or a temporary replacement part, or just a fix. It's been absolutely amazing. They would even go like, okay, when my graphics card failed, they were like, okay, well, we're gonna have to send your PC for repairs, and it's a small company. Yep, it's a smaller Danish brick and mortar shop. Have to send your PC, and I was like, I can't send my PC, and they were like, I can see that. Yeah, how about we sell you a new graphics card? We install it. We take the old graphics card that we're pretty sure is not working, but we have to send it for warranty. And we send that, and if it comes back with warranty, we'll refund you the new one, the one you bought. And if it comes back, then you can return it, and then it's all good. All right. Oh, that's a pretty damn clever idea. So, yeah. So that's pretty. That was pretty amazing, and that's the kind of thing where they go like, okay, that's someone who wants to solve the problem and not just go like, well, if you hand in your PC, we have to take the PC and send it off, and it'll be 2 weeks before you get it back. Yeah. So, very much like that. What company was it? It's a Danish company called Phoenix Computer in Copenhagen and Aarhus. There, Phoenix. And I don't have any relation to them except that they've always delivered absolutely stellar service. So I want to give them any referral I can. So yeah, well, we have a self-replicating factory that's not self-replicating because we haven't started it. So how about we get started and see if we can get some self-replication going. I'm going to start as usual by going here and explaining how it works from the core of it. Let's see. There are some test things. It's a test thing. Let's have a look. Is it? I think I have prepared it so that it's ready to go, but I have no clue. Hey, Jamjo, thank you for the 8 months.
Welcome home.
8 months over 2 years. Also, sorry, it isn't more. That's fine. It's on Prime. I'm sure you spread your Prime out for people here and there. That is worthy of it. Okay, so you're starting here. Why is it not pushing? Oh, what? I need a token. It's a big mystery. I think I have prepared it. Oh, Everlis, good evening. Returns. Thank you for joining.
Welcome home.
Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that even doesn't work either. What happened? Shit, something happened. Okay. I guess something happened. Ah! We are missing robots.
Our illustrious champion returns. Welcome home.
Yeah, and get some normal ones. There. Zoom, zoom. And what happened after Sander? Thank you for the 11 months. Okay, Matcha, thank you for the 29 months. All right, let's see if things are working. Okay, so this is the main loop. There is a little token flowing around here. This token is now waiting for all the robots to be idle again. We can see that they are still busy because they are building a self-replicating block. So we are close to a... Hey, JD, good evening. Just the database build itself yet? Yes, it does. Some of it, at least. So now we have deployed and committed a third one. XXRXDX, thank you so much for the tier 2 for 51 months. Damn. 51 months. It is also, I gotta say, it's one of my absolute favorite names of shouting outs. XXRXDX.
Welcome home.
Do you like Anonymous? Thank you for the Prime for 27 months. Level 1 completed, indeed. All right, so the way it works is that the token here goes around, and then it will try to go in. The light here is for solar panels, and then it'll go out. Either one of these will be a different type of city block that will be deployed. Some of them are not designed yet. This is, for example, infinite resource one, and we have sort of set up a specific queue for what it is, and then we have a taboo list here that will sort of increment and get us, make sure that we don't continue to build something all the time. Straight to bed is hard. I need at least 15 minutes before I can even consider. I know, I always do that. I have I'm watching an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's a good way to go to bed. And no, what is going on here? I was about to say it should have gone out, but it didn't. And it is. So now it's building a copper build. That should be copper, this one. Then we built some iron here. And let's make sure that we get this. Yes. So we get iron being unloaded. It's coming in. Making full... Oh, what's that? That's weird. Oh, never mind. So we now have... There you go. That's what I want. Looks good. Looks really nice, this way of filling up. And then it'll start filling into trains, and those trains will then go to the next location. Then we have copper being the same part as we build it. Is it done? Yes, it's done. And then it immediately starts working on some more solar panels. So this is basically how it works. And now that it is in motion, then we can have a look at how it works. So each of these is a cell that is in charge of one type of product. They're all completely identical. They are basically storing an icon here, a token, like a steel part, if they are ready. And when they have two indicators, that means that it wants to build. This one, there are two things that must be true for it to build a location. First is there has to be a demand for it, and the second is it has to be not in taboo. And what that means is that there is a token here. So this is the taboo list. This means that I don't want to make, for example, I don't want to make more iron smelting immediately. So I want to make sure that I build at least some other ones before I go back into iron smelting again. And then I have the exception for these three. Those are solar panels. So we are going to be building 3 solar panels every single time from now on. And it just continues spiraling out of control. And I have then done this part. This is a little test part, which will help us guide us. It'll tell us how many of each are still required. So for example, we still need 6 more iron smelters. We need 4 more solar panels, 3 more copper, that kind of thing. And that's not how to say this. This is just something I set up initially. This is not based on actual demand. That's what we're going to be doing today. Where does the wood go? There's no wood. Oh, let's see if the 1 minute warning. We got to level 1. It was like super good. This hype train, like, boom, lots of subscriptions and then nothing, right? Ah, man, 60 seconds left. So the hype train tracker is at least working. 14 bits, 14 subs to get to level 2. Are we going to get we have gotten an inordinate amount of level 1 hype trains for the last many weeks. We get a good start and they go like, yeah, and then that's it. Okay, so here we now built another smelter. Thank you, Swimmer, for the 41 months.
Champion returns.
How does the placement of the blueprint work? That is a mod called the Blueprint Deployer, or Recursive Blueprint, that has this one. When you put a blueprint in here and give it some commands, then it will place it. There we go. So as soon as it goes in, it places the blueprint out here. Wow, so that was a level 1 hype train. Yep. Okay. Well, at least we don't need to worry about that for a while. Let's see. Oops, that one. So this one will just propagate, and imagine getting a hype drinker dog with 1 sub. Oof, I know. It was the same yesterday. And that's the I don't know what to do. I'm completely at a loss. Like it's something has just stopped. It's nothing to do with holidays. It's 100% something to do with me. So it's the end of the month. No, it's not. Please, it's not about the end of the month. It's not about this season. It's not about this. It's 100% me. Um, and even if it isn't, then I have to take the responsibility for it. But it still fucking sucks.
Another loyal devotee.
So yeah, but that's okay. We'll focus on the game at hand instead. Doop. Go. It's a new initiate of the path. Welcome. Thank you for pledging on Patreon. Don't tend to be optimistic. Well, if optimism is a way to fool yourself and lie to yourself, then I am not subscribing to it. So, well, there's some kind of break waiting for big new games. Yeah, Everless. I mean, I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it, but it's just not true. It's just not true. Like a game like Factorio should be something that would be interesting and engaging, and I just really don't want to have to play bombs and biters to get anywhere, and it fucking sucks. But that's kind of how it has to be. But you know, doesn't matter. Forget about it. Forget about it. I'd rather focus on this. So what our objective is, we're actually going to stop this because there's no reason for us to keep going with this one now. Boop, let's pick it up. So what I want to do is I want to start making sort of a request chain. And what I mean by that is I want to make sure that we have some kind of design out here. Let's see that one. There. So now I'm on creative mode. There you go. So this is going to be a location. So what we need to do is we need to design. We have copper smelting, we have iron smelting, so we need green circuits. Well, you could play space exploration, though that opinion is no about that. I know. Stone smelting is completely useless. That's not going to be part of any supply chain we need right now. We are working on building a chain that will request the other one, so we can see that when we build something, it'll automatically pull in a request and generate a request to build the next thing. Why not build with ore detection? Because then I'd spend 2 streams, maybe 3, on building a good ore detection, and then I wouldn't make any progress with the base. So this is about making a minimum viable product, and in order for doing that, you have to cut out some things. And if I had spent all my starting time, then I wouldn't be in a position where I actually had a base that you can kind of see the concept of a base here. I'd still be messing around, and this would be the crap that you would see because I would be tinkering with things that are intangible. And I want to make sure, like anyone who has ever built any software before should know, you want to make sure that you have something to present as early as possible, a minimum viable product, so that you can see that you test the most risky constraints first. Like, can we do the spiral thing? Yes, we can. Thank you. 3 trailing spaces for that. Can we do some kind of main loop, and can we make it really simple? Yes, we can. Can we control the interaction between these so that it doesn't collide, and can we just let it run a number of times so we find edge cases? Yes, we can. Like all those things are things that I have now tested and confirmed that that is possible. So ore detection, it is a problem that I know we can solve, but it'll be complex and annoying and weird, but it won't really show as much progress as what I have been doing so far. So it's really just about making sure that I build the most valuable things first and the most risky things first. And right now I've built the most risky things and it works. Now I'm going to work on the most valuable things, and that is, in my opinion, now the third part of this is having the build of one city block create a demand for something else that will then trigger a build of that particular city block. So what I'm going to do in this episode is make a green circuit and a red circuit. No, green signs and red signs and green circuits, because those three, when I, and maybe a science facility as well, because then I can just trigger the science facility, and that will sort of cascade downwards as well. Hello, Desu. Good evening. Speaking as a project manager. No, speaking as a product manager. Very big difference. The product manager is responsible for the product. The project manager is responsible for the plan. Whether the plan is good or bad, it doesn't matter. The project manager will make sure that it gets delivered, right? But I'm speaking as a product manager, being responsible that our product is at any given time the best that it can be, given all the crazy constraints, so that at any given time I feel that I've built the most valuable things. Right, so let's maybe try and look at an opportunity for building building science facilities, yeah? Travel stores are not gone. You could manage to regenerate a large amount of it. What? Okay, so this is the supply station. I don't think that I want to have multiple trains in on the science facility. No, I don't. I definitely don't. So, but the logic around this still has to be here. So I'm going to take this logic and then, whoops, go up here. Don't need this. This was just to make sure that it is aligned up here. Get place out here and there. Okay. All of this I have to take out because that's definitely going to be different. This is not happening. It'll have to be different. I think I kind of have to rebuild it from scratch here and just kind of figure out how I want it. Science. A science train is pretty big. Since each stack is 2,000 or 200, then I will have 2,000, 8,000 in one. So that's going to be 16,000 for a train. This one. And that's going to be, let's make that yellow, red signs there. You're going to go to red signs. Go. Sweet. Yeah, so we are going to take another export out here. These two. And so this has to be connected. And then I want these lines in here. And they will be going on the other side or other color. Right, so I can store a total of one train is 16,000. But each of this is 9,600 to 9,600. So that's 19,200 for the total. So the system would initially send alerts, but only if the tower, the lower level stuff is not sending alerts, i.e. the system detects that you are missing blue and green chips and then only sends the alert for green chips. I don't know if you mean by alert, but yes, the build command, yes. Basically, it will detect when something is running low. So it's not running, it will not detect that you are out, but it will detect that you're running low. That means the first thing we build is actually going to be a science facility that will request all the sciences so that I implement a demand for all the science. Once I've implemented a demand for all the science, then it will automatically go like, oh, I don't have any yellow science, but I don't have a yellow science build at this point. But then it'll actually go, it'll start with the lowest science. It'll go like, the idea is, at the beginning, I just put an infinite demand of science buildings. Right. So that's going to be the essence of it. You always want a million science facilities. So the first thing that happens is that the only demand in the base actually might be something about the power, but whatever. Then we'll build the science labs. The science labs will create a demand for the 6 different science packs, and then the first science pack that will be attempted to be built will be a red science, so it'll build a red science block. The red science block will create a demand for copper and iron, then that will generate a demand for copper and iron. I'll make the copper, no, to make the iron, I'll make the copper, and then I'll start feeding into the red science. Then the red science is still in taboo, I hope. I really hope so. Anyway, we'll find out. And then, might be a problem here. Then it'll go on to the green science. The green science will demand iron. We already have that, so no problem. And green circuits. Then I'll make green circuits. And then the green circuits will start increasing the demand of iron and copper. And then at that point, I might not have enough iron, so it generates another demand for another iron. And then that's sort of how it drives it. It'll sort of cascade, and the reason is that then once I've saturated all the sciences one by one, then I will eventually saturate or satisfy the demand of the science block, science lab, and once that's satisfied, the whole base is just operating. It's all happy, everything is flowing, and then it'll just go like, okay, if there's no demand, then build another science lab. Then it builds another science lab, and the whole thing starts over. That's how it's self-expanding. Worst case can still consider different taboo lists. Exactly. That's also what I'm thinking. Like, that's definitely a possibility. Love to watch your channel. It helps me learning the game and listen to English. Thank you for the good content. Thank you very much. And welcome, first time chatter. Much appreciated. Have a rudimentary hub and solar accumulator built beforehand, right? Else nothing can actually be placed by bots. At this point, I have, again, this is about making sure that we do the right things first. These are just infinite ones, so we'll work on infinite resources first, and then once we have that, I'll be making some kind of hub, and that'll be the starting point. So those are, again, things that I know we can build, but they will be coming in a bit later, and building them before we actually have iron, copper, steel, green circuits, red circuits, the things that we need to get in here, doesn't really make sense. So that's why we're making now a science lab, to see if we can generate the demand for sort of the end demand and then move back. Setting alert, check if inputs are present to distinguish if we are input limited or production limited. It's not sending an alert. It's just more of a figurative speaking. The way it works is here. If these are running low, it will request more trains. But if they're running very low, then it will tell the brain up here, tell this one to actually create a demand for an additional smelting. And that will trigger the second light here. Right now we have a light here, and we don't have the other light. The other light is that there's a token here. But now we have a demand for it. So that means we will increase the demand. And I don't know if that's what you mean by alert, but that's kind of how it works. So that means we are going to... Oh, that's interesting. No path. That's weird. How did that happen? Where do you want to go? Oh, right. That's because it's this one. It's this one. There we go. There we go. Better. Okay, so now I'm in this position here, and I want to define if I can have 19,200. So at what point am I going to be requesting a new train? I'm going to request a new train when I can actually... Oh no, that's not correct. This can store way more, because one of these can store... I don't know if I want this many. No, I don't think so. I don't want that big of a buffer. I think this is better. So this is 19,200, 19,200. I don't know what that is. Didn't I have a calculator in here? I thought I did. No. 3840, yeah. So that's... And good evening, Bartek. Good to see you. Alright, so that means when this is less than... L means another train. That's too high a number. Oh, right, we also have two. We have one... Actually, I don't only want one here. Yeah, we only want one train inbound. And that train should be when it's less than 30,000. That's really high. Yeah, when it's less than 30,000, it goes, please send another train. It's a little bit much. 20 maybe. We'll try 20. So when it's less than 20,000, it wants to get another train in. Then I want to have another one that actually... I don't want this one. Oh, right, I do need this. Oh, this is the worst one. C to L. And if L is greater than or equal to 3, then... Yeah, I do need that. Yeah. I'll explain what this is. Let's take this out. So that goes in here. You also need L and C. Uh-huh. How is the train count not... Oh, there you go. Now the train count should be... It's also sending a C in. Okay, so now it's L. L is the limit how much we want inbound, and C is the number of trains already heading into or waiting at the station. So currently, if we look at it, it says C equal to 1, L equal to 1. So there's a demand of 1 because the content in the boxes is less than 20,000, obviously. And C is equal to 1 because there's a train already waiting here. There shouldn't be, but there is now. To be able to fully unload by the time it gets there. Yes. anything less than 24, 22, 22, right? It's 38,000 minus 16, so it's anything less than 22,000. That's why 20 is a good number. All right, so at this point, if the demand actually, I think I'll do it in a different way. I don't think I need this. Because what if, shouldn't it just be a simple one as saying, if it's really low, like even if it might be 0, like if it is equal to 0, like if they are completely out, then you don't send an L, you send that signal. Because that's a signal that will indicate, then if I have 0 available, then you must build a new one. Because our buffer should be at 20,000. At 20,000, there should be deployed another inbound. So it should drop down to maybe 16,000 at the worst case, and then go up to from 16,000 to 32,000, and then drop down. And then when it goes below 20,000, it goes up again. So it should hover around that area. So if it ever gets to 0, that must be because we just don't have enough red circuits or red signs inbound. I could also be a little more, like if it's less than 1,000, so that it's, I don't know, maybe something like that. And before the science bottles, so you need to send the demand on the network. Clever, I forgot about that. Yep, thank you. I don't know how low do I want to consider it empty. Less than 2,000, it's definitely empty. Then I don't need this, and I actually don't need to indicate read the train count. I don't care about the train count, honestly. Oh, you know what I did? I tried doing the Timberborn, right click and then sweep over to rotate the map, because god damn it, I want to rotate the map so I can look behind, or even to the side so I can look behind these things. That ain't the thing. That's the one thing I want for Factorio, is able to rotate the map. I know I'm never gonna get it, but you know, there's a lot of things I'm never gonna get that I still want. Alright, that goes back up here, and then I'm gonna need on the green line. Is it the green line? Yeah, the green line is the demand. Okay, so I need here. I think I'll build them here. That seems like a better place, so it's more consistent. Okay, so green line is the quantity here, and that goes back. Yep, that sets the limit to 1, and that one goes on here and then back into that network. Sweet. Then I'm going to build the same thing here. Realize that I just overrode that one. Do exactly the same for greens. And then figure out, that one goes back in. No, it has to be coming from. These are connected. And then I need from here in here. Yeah, so that actually now indicates, why is the red line coming in? That should not go in. The red line should not go in. Oops. The red line should not be in there. That has nothing to do there. Good. So the top one is telling if we... Why is there no output signal? Alright, there's no input signal, but there is an output. Good evening, Dorsant. Good evening. Just install Dyson Sphere. Thank you, JD. I will. New build directly after the lab block is built, although in theory the existing science factories are already producing enough. That's a great point. That is a great point, Fennec. That's a great point. If that's for the second one. Um, yeah. It is, it's a good point. Yeah, I'm going to take a break and ponder over that issue. Well, that's a little bit of an issue. All right, let's take the break and go back to our base like this. And oh, I also need to save it. And that's going to be like it. 6.01. All right, I'll be back in 2 minutes. See you in a bit. And welcome back. Okay, so now we come into one of my considerations for the next was exactly that. What are we going to scale it for? Like, what is a good supply demand for this? First things first, I think we need to build. We need to test a little bit. What is the setup going to be? So the first thing is we are not going to make we're not going to use modules or beacons for this because we're at blue science. So actually we could argue that you'd want to use this, but I don't think I would. I don't think that would be. Actually, it doesn't slow us down very much. No, it increases the power consumption too much. Don't care. That's not why we're here. So our setup will, it could be like this, but it could also be we have 6. So this is an option. There. And then it'll be the same. Like this, right? Since you have constraints on block size, should you think about what's the slowest, most space-consuming science production block will be output first? Yes, but I want to get a sense first of whether this, what this is like. I want to get a ballpark figure for this part. so that we can kind of go like, oh, I can't make it consume more than 100 per second. Okay, never mind. Or that's probably a lot. But you know, I want to get build this one first, so I get sort of, if I fill it up without being completely unreasonable, how much would that be? Okay. And then we'll take it from there. Is that feasible? I guess it is, if it's sort of replicated correctly. Oh. It feels weird, especially Parcombe. Oh, that got even worse, didn't it? Yeah, that got worse from the Parcombe. That doesn't make any sense why it got worse. Why does it build a line that way? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that is correct. There we go. That's better. There we go. Okay. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Is it this one? Blah, blah. Must be what? What? Must be actual ratio. Because it depends on what kind of research we have available. Because we're obviously not having this one available or this one. So now this is what we will have available. That means 20 plus 30 plus 40. That's 90. And that's 140% increase. Okay. There. And then I will... Cool. So this is... No military. There you go. Hello, Jay Bestman. Good evening. What do you have to research? Start research. Oh, not you. Obviously. Something that is not... There you go. Now we can finally get the... $48 per minute. I think this is the design. It's compact, it's easy to manage, and then I will get the inputs like these 3 locations inbound, 2 input here, 2 input here, 2 input here, and then just have a big chunk in the middle and then just bridge them in here. I think that's the part I want. So, what's the heat measurement? I don't know. $14, $16 now. That's pushing it as much as we can. Okay. So how big is this total one? 44. It can't be much bigger than this. Maybe 46, but not really 48. Right. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 44 is probably gonna be it. And then let's see. This is now fully working. That's 1.76 per second. Okay. Damn. That's a problem. Because I can't do... Can I? I don't think I want to. Ah, that sucks. Good evening, Ultralek. No modules? Nope, no modules. Because that will increase the power supply way too much. And also be something that I'd need to do. Power ports on the outer side, yes, but that's... the question is, I can't really figure out if that's a problem generally, or if it's... I think you don't need the big power port. I agree that I probably don't need it, but I also just kind of freaking out a bit. Which also means that this would be the ideal situation or location. And then one up, simply one away from, and then that would have one overlap. Oh, hold on. Why am I not getting like a second row? It will decrease their maximum utilization because they will be wasting time on shunting things forward, but it won't be that bad. I don't want to do more than this, but if I did 2 of these... Oops. Like that. Hello, Trixie Button. I'm coming from YouTube. Been learning so much from your videos. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Very nice to hear. Yeah. Spot. And actually, let's just figure out how much it has. 3.5 per second. That means we're going to get up to 7 per second for the total build here. What do we think about this build? I think it's good, but then again, I easily get enticed by my own builds. It's certainly not a problem of keeping up. With beacons, beacons are outside of the scope of this because I am building this at blue signs. I want to be able to say, when you get blue signs, you can stamp down this blueprint and it'll take care of the rest. I need to do at some point where I'm going to be, this is the tech level we have. Maybe better to stack inserters or 2 inserters each lab. Actually, I don't think so. I don't think right now. Because they are sort of asynchronous here. Oh, right, that one. Right. There will be a little bit of a glip here once they are there. Have inserter capacity, that's a good point. I don't want the full one. There. That one I want. Yeah. Good point. What about military science? I don't care about military science. This base will not be taken care of by biters. There will be no biters here. So I don't care. Alright, that powerful, yep. So 7 per second. Is that a lot? Let's try and build it with normal builds. Where do we have that? Why do I not have like really ordinary things like that? There we go. Let's try to figure out how many it would require. Yeah, now we can see that it's actually going to be a lot. What is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 10. 20. And this is the easy one. So we're already way overbuilding it. There we go. But then I'm going to do it for all of them. There we go. And now comes the worst one. That's the blue. Blue is the slowest of all the sciences. So we might as well start by doubling it. Still not enough. There you go. How many was that? 112. So that's kind of the problem here. Military stuff still useful for equipment like power armor and exo. Exactly what am I going to need power armor and exosuit for when this is a self-expanding base? This is a setup and just walk away and then just play some music, and 2 days later we have a big base. Or some edge case has caused it to fail miserably. So it has nothing to do with that. And even if I wanted it, I could just... I think you're misunderstanding the concept of this. This is not about a normal playthrough. The problem or what problem? The problem the problem is sizing. Now I have to build this gigantic thing. Okay, okay. It's great to see so many new people here, and it's awesome because that is these questions are indicative that you are new to this build. This is a proof of concept. This is a design challenge to build a base that can build itself. For that reason, there are many constraints. You can do the workshop command and you can look at some of the constraints. Some constraints are things that I just don't want to deal with. Other things are I don't want to deal with it now, so I make a shortcut and then I'll come back to it. Such as, where do I get the resource from? What about mining? Those are things that I'll come back to at a later stage, but I don't want to do it right now. Another question is, why am I not sort of using the highest levels of tech? Because I want this base to be built as fast as possible. What is the earliest time I can build the base? I can start up my self-expanding base and then have it go. And the answer is, the earliest you can do it is when you have robots, because robots are important. You can't really do stamp down blueprints if you don't have robots. So the earliest possible time is blue science. So I can use blue science, but I can't use things that are beyond blue science. So no purple science, no yellow science. That means no modules, no beacons. I mean, yes, you could do some modules, but I don't want to use the Mark 1, Tier 1 modules. No... what else am I not? No yellow assemblers and no blue belts. So that's kind of... Is it okay to ask a question in chat? Yeah, sure. Always always welcome to ask questions. Yeah. So maybe I should, instead of looking at this one, I should look at this part. If you install Brave New World, can you build it from the beginning? No, because you don't have all the stuff. You don't have all the stuff available. You don't have trains unlocked in the beginning. You don't have you don't have anything else unlocked. So no, you can't. It'll be closer. But it's, yeah. And because there are some things, like obviously you need to have robots, which Brave New World kind of helps with, but you also need to have circuits, trains. And yes, I know I have a blue belt. I'm only using this blue belt to make a distinction between the two networks here, so we can always change it later on. Yeah, and also you don't have these smelters here, so there's a lot of things. Anyway, this I don't really like. Because sulfur is definitely something we'll request. Red circuits is something we request. Engines? No, we're not requesting engines. We are building engines on site. The science lab will request more blocks, so it'll build until satisfied. Yes, correct. But I'd like to have it some kind of multiple. And for that reason, it might be like, I don't even know how. That was 112, so maybe do half of it. So I want to see if what a build of blue science looks like. If we want to make a simple blue science build, I think the answer is like this. Nah, I'm not going to do the speedrunner trick. These two can come in on this belt, and then it's just a matter of there, and these two, here, and out. Something like this. And we can just technically do the same thing on the other side. This, how close? It's pretty close. It's close enough that I don't want to. There's going to be a slight surplus here. Don't bother by cables and wires on poles crossing, connecting in an unpretty way, like in city block intersections. Yes. If you have that issue, there is a mod called Power Grid Comb. I use that for like cleaning up stuff. I wanted to clean up this part, but it actually got weird here. So you can just drag it over, and then it'll supposedly clean up the this part, but it doesn't. In some cases, when it's a little bit too close, then it gets ugly like this. But yes, for example, up here, I ran it on there to get a nice pattern here. There we go. This part here, let's see. So this one is 0.25. Okay, that's pretty good. That means this is 1 per second. And how much is this? 1 per second. Woohoo! And I just need 7 times as big as this. Yeah, so that's not a thing. I guess we can do this better. We can cut at least one line on either side. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Still that like that. And oops. Ooh, look at that. That's actually exactly available in this location. We are... How many things do we need inbound? We need 2 things inbound. Iron and steel. 3, 4. 4 inbound and 1 outbound. So, yeah. Also, it will disconnect it from the grid via minimizing connections. Then drag over the top view. Okay. Hello, Grundig. Blue science already. Reason why we're looking at blue science is because it's the slowest science. So let's get that one out of the way. So if we can't really figure out how we want to build this, then, or if we can figure out how big we want to and can build this, then that will help us a lot on determining how big the whole thing should be. Like, that seems a little bit over ambitious, right? But we're getting pretty close to that, right? See. Blue's the slowest, no purple? Yep, absolutely. Blue is way slower. Way slower. It's a little bit. 2 every 24 minutes. That means 1 every 12. So, yep. Compare it to purple. Is 3 every 21 seconds. So that's 1 every 7 seconds. Okay, so here's the other thing. Actually, I could take this one and get a little bit further down. Because I don't need to have a station here. I could get these 2 as input and these 2 as input. And then this could be an output. Let's see if that's a thing. Let's see how close we can make it here. Oh, I have to go. That thing. It's a little bit close. Little bit close. It's actually not that bad because it's only 2 of them. It's only these 2 that actually have any output. I mean, I don't know how exact I want to be at this point. If I can do this reasonably, mix efficiency and speed modes to avoid the higher power consumption. I don't want to do that because then when we get later on and I actually have to build a base that builds the stuff, it just means that the expansion is going to take half an hour for each one because I am relying on building 192 of each module. No. If everything was free materials, then yes, but it's not. It's not going to be free materials, so. Also, why is this not in the middle? This one is not important compared to... There, that's much better. There you go. So now we need 2 inbound stations. We come back to this one again. Oh? Sure. Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot. Completely forgot the power here. That's actually ruining a little bit of this. Because that has to be built here. Yeah. I don't know, there's just something about this that doesn't feel right. Like, there's a symmetry and then there's not a symmetry. Like, if I could even be like a symmetry like this, so the blues are across from each other, then at least I could sort of accept that and then go like, okay, blues are in the middle. Yes. There, that's kind of thing. Like, there's a blue line, sure. But then have my aversion is that these 2 cross each other. That's just something I don't like. Yeah. Let's just do it like this. Nope, we cannot. We cannot. I don't know. This is purely aesthetic, but it's annoying me that it looks awful. Maybe I just accept this for once. Ugh. It's gonna haunt me. I know. I know. Can you... in the middle of the belt? No. It's not big enough, is it? No, it's missing one tile. Good to try, though. I mean, then I could go... no. Then I'd have to... yeah, I'd have to build one that's slanted one side and then slanted the other side, and then... I don't think that's going to make it prettier. Quite the contrary.
A kind gesture.
Well, Silver Cecil, hype time, end of month. Yes, indeed, it is the end of month. What that means in terms of trains, I do not know. I do not know. Just kill this spot that I messed up. And just try the other one. Okay. Well, I guess it didn't mean anything. That's... I suppose this is better, but then the question is, shouldn't I have built it up here? Nope, then it can't reach far enough. Okay, so where's the next one? That's good. Thank you, Silver Cecil, for trying.
Our modest fellowship expands.
JJ Besterman,
Praise
thank you
the
for a gift sub. That sucks. It sucks that it's just... this is too high. It has to be in here, actually. Ugh. Yeah, it has to be in there. So let's try this. If you have a subscription you want to renew, then now is a good time to do it. If you want. The thing of a few rows. I don't know. No, it has to be like in the middle of this, because then it actually takes enough. Oh my god, this is crazy. Okay. This is not correct. Flip. Red self-expanded base, and I'm wondering how exactly that is going to work. Can you explain the core concept behind it, please? You can just... yeah, I don't know. There's a YouTube video explaining exactly the concept of it. But I guess I don't have anything else to do right now, so I just it's always a little bit difficult, right? Someone comes in and just go like, "Hey, please stop what you're doing and explain everything to me." I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I'd like you to get updated, but I also just it's kind of unfair to the people who are just sitting here and following. And of course, there might be more. That's kind of I don't know. It just always bothers me this part. It's uh, and it's not your fault. It's just yeah. Anyway, I could have just explained. Yeah, yeah. I know you're just curious about what's going on. It's a big fucking concept to explain just outright. But the idea is that it's a self-expanding base. It will. I have logic here that will just make sure that things. It'll build a city block based on what I need, and then it'll just keep spiraling out. Right now I've stopped it because I'm doing design work for a blue science build. So um, so the majority at the beginning we were just doing a lot of design work, and now we're a lot of circuit work, and now we've gotten a little bit further. So now we're working on actual designs of these.
Tales of our
Hey,
endeavors
Scrub Zone, thank you for the
proliferate.
5 gift subs. Unfortunately, the other two from Jay Besterman and Silver Cecil have timed out now. Thank you so much for that. I don't know how I'm gonna be taking this one. Hey, Jay Besterman, you try again. Thank you so much for trying again. And Barthik, thank you for the 200 bits. Now we're gonna get a station in here and a station in here. Does that not collide with that one? I think it might be.
Our illustrious champion returns. Welcome home.
No, yeah, this is supply stations. Meek Force, thank you for the 7 months. And Silver Cecil trying one more time with the 200 bits. The amount of times you have tried this month is at least 30 times, Silver Cecil. You have at least started. You have 30 times this month. Have you tried to start a hype train? That is absolutely impressive. Everything's one off. What? Yeah. The input outputs are reversed. This is the output. Yes. And here. This is the output as well.
Expands. Praise this.
I don't know if you mean by that, but yeah. Should be good.
More shall gather.
Should be good.
More
thank you,
shall enter the fray.
Ouch. Thank you for the 200 bits. And Swimmer, thank you for 3 gift subs. And Barthik, thank you for 10 gift subs. Jay Matcha, thank you for 2 gift subs. And Tallman, also joining in. Arriving to a hype train, have some bits. Thank you. Good evening to you as well. Brayton, thank you for gifting a sub. We're up to, we're almost a level 2 hype train. So now I need to figure out how much I need of 7.2 and 14.4. But first, train stations. These are the smallest train stations we can have. Obviously not like this, and obviously not like this. Let me just think about this. It is supply stations that will be... Yeah, supply stations will get this part, because supply stations is where I also have the train. Okay, so that's just so that I get it. Every supply station must have a train attached as well. Still. And this one will be... You're gonna go to blue. Go, go, go. There you go. The assemblers, right?
Tales of our endeavors.
Executor, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Oh, you broke your even 500. Do you have that badge equipped so we can see you flexing with that? Look, third from top assembler, input belt. What? Third from top assembler. Right, yeah. Ugh. Ah, yeah, I know why. Of course.
Welcome back. Your steadfast loyalty is greatly appreciated.
There. Go. And Galoot, thank you for the 4 months of Prime support. I wasn't even trying to start a hype train. I just love the content. I was happy to catch a stream. Thank you so much. But that's exactly what triggers a hype train, is that someone wants to get something in there. Okay, so supply station. We need a steel supply station and an iron supply station.
Expands. So praise the sub.
It'll have to be like this, and then that will be a steel. Oops. Maybe this will be an iron one. I guess we want the iron one closer. Anonymous, thank you also for gifting a sub. So let me mention this once of several times. If we get to a level 5 hype train, I'll add another hour so we can get more progress done today. See there. Quick question: if robots lack materials to continue building, they are counted as idle.
Your steadfast loyalty
yes,
is greatly appreciated.
But I want to make sure that we will. Right now we have infinite resources, so we can always build it. But later on, I will want to make sure that we have a stockpile that corresponds to the largest quantity of any item, so that I build up stockpiles and solar panels, accumulators, blue inserters, red inserters, blue assemblers, red belts, underground belts. All those things have to all be true, and then it'll send a signal to build the next block. So until that is built, we're not going to build the next block. But that's kind of a little down the line. What is right now is actually Hype Pack. Thank you for a tier 3 for 6 months in advance. Subscribe for 3 months. Thank you so much for the 3 months in advance. It counts as a level 3 level 3 subscription now, and then when you renew it the next month, then it counts again there. So that's 5 normal subs right there. Thank you so much. And we are no. And Anonymous, thank you so much for 5 gift subs. All right, it's starting to look like we are getting in business here. That's a little bit too close here. This is always like a problem how I build this.
Proliferate.
That's steel coming in from the other side. And Bartek, thank you for 5 gift subs. 3,316. Woo. That's something. That is something.
Welcome back. Your steadfast loyalty is greatly appreciated. Tales of our endeavors proliferate.
Yeah. So, a lot of things happened. Cukes, thank you for your 3 months of Prime. And Swimmer, thank you
Tales
for
of
5
our
gift subs.
endeavors proliferate.
And then Everest with 5 tier 3 gift subs. That's 25 subs. Just like that. Smashing it in and becoming... What's that? Was that level 4? Didn't like that
Tales of
number.
our
It was a weird
endeavors
number.
Proliferate.
That was a weird number. Now it's 3325. The problem is that anytime you get to a cool number, you can't stay there for a while because it's only when you donate that the number comes up. So when you hit like 1,000, and then you'll only see that, wow, 1,000, and then as soon as it's 1,005, then you go like, well, now it's kind of rounding off. And thank you, Bartek, for the 9 gift subs, getting it closer to that elusive level 5. Finally, a face to the voice. Been watching your YouTube tutorials. Awesome, thank you. So then you can
Gather.
weigh
More
in.
shall enter the
Calculated
fray.
blunder. How does this ugly mug compare to your visual image? And I do have some things that when you say it, I'll be like, I knew it, but I can't say it because then I'll be directing you. And Hype Pack, thank you for 10 tier 2 subs. Each tier 2 sub is an equivalent to 2 normal subs. So that's double up on the subs. Yes, it's the Darkest Dungeon, Wayne June narrator. They made a Hype Pack. Thanks for your YouTube videos. Thank you. Okay, so we are at 69% through a level 5 hype train. Nice. Oops, that other way. Oh, these have to be merged in. Oh, I know I've done this in a cool way at some point, but it eludes me how I did that. So we have 2 builds coming against each other that has to merge in at different locations. They only have to merge in at 2 locations, so I'm kind of feeling that one of them will have to be up here. A single red belt's enough? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Good point. Let's answer that question immediately. Yes. 9, 14 is the highest. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and I don't know how much is left, but you guys can see how much is left. Let's see. It is 14 subs.
A kind
AJ Besterman, thank you for the 400 bits. Oh yeah, I would imagine that the subs part is a lot easier to steal for a hype train conductor. Bonapans, thank you for the 3 months.
Welcome
We're getting
back.
closer. Now we're down
Your
to
steadfast loyalty
12
is
subs
greatly
until we
appreciated.
potential an extra hour. Yeah, and then yeah. There we go. That's how I wanted it. Oh, where are we at? What's the timing? What's the time? What's the time?
A gleaming
Bartek, thank you for the
endowment.
1,000 bits. I'm feeling. Why can I not see the time? It says 1 minute. 1 minute. Oh no. We have had it sort of stumble at the 4,800 bits or 10
A
subs.
resplendent
Paranoid Snow.
offering.
Thank you, making sure that it doesn't doesn't happen. Just in the last second. Paranoid Snow, thank you for the 5,000 bits. Just making sure. Whew. Okay, who's getting it
More
close?
shall
And then
gather.
Hype Back with 5 more
More
gift
shall
subs to
enter
make
the
absolutely
fray.
sure. And Scrub Zone, who started it all, also coming in with the last sub of the train. Well done, Scrub Zone, for starting this. Sorry, kids.
modest
I'm just gonna
fellowship
be have
expands.
to
Praise the
Stay up
sun.
late today. I think this is a pretty good merge here. It doesn't take much space and it looks somewhat okay. Actually, it doesn't. Let's do that. Yeah, that looks better. Very compact. And it is a level 5 hype chain. It's all we could ever wish for. And you're saying something is wrong with me. Well, something is wrong with me. That one does not rule out the other. There's still something wrong with me. Alright, so that unfortunately means that not this part, but this part design in here is that I will need to get iron, yes, and then red circuits. There. And on the other side,
A kind gesture.
this will be sulfur. Whoop. There we go. And Master MSC, thank you for the 200 bits joining in for the train. Okay, so all of it is pretty simple except for the iron part. So let's do the other ones first. They're easier. Oh yeah, do you want the lights? Yeah, I do want lights, but I don't know how to make lights in this build. That's kind of why I just kind of because I don't know where. It'll break up the pattern no matter how I do it. Suggestions? Like, I could sort of push these out and then just make lights in this build, but it's also just not great. Don't know where I'd put the lights, to be honest. Okay, this first one will be the steel. Is that correct? No. Damn it, this one should have been steel. There. So steel's coming in, and that will just go straight into this belt. Oops. Somehow. And then sulfur is going to come in on the other belt. Let's go in on the other one. Good. So next to power stations, yeah, I'm kind of thinking that like this and this, that's kind of the least awful place, but I don't know if it actually gives very much light. Like enough to really make sense of it. Every other blue on both sides of them. That would be a different way. Every other blue. Ugh. Then it'll have to be out here. Then I'd much rather have everyone. If we do lights, we do lights. There. That's better. In the middle section, not by the belts. Yeah, I actually do. And I want it. I like this. This is my normal belt density of light. Woo! Strigon! Thank you. Don't mind me just sneaking onto the train. Yep. There's always room for one more. And, I mean, there's always room. Just a modest 50 subs to get to let's say, a relatively irrelevant level 6. Doesn't add anything extra at level 6. There. I like that. I don't like that. I like that. And there. Nope. Good. Looks good. You're doing what I meant. Of course I am. Alright, so let's figure out how to do a unloading location. Oh my god, I was just thinking, like, rotate it so I can have them in front of me. And that was the hype train. So now I'm going to take a break. I think this is turning out to be a really good one. And we're still looking at, this is going to be 6 per second. That means this one will be taken a little bit down. Just to make sure that it matches the 6. And then that'll be our design priority, just making 6 per second. And I think that's good. 6 per second is 360 per minute. Thank you so much, everyone, for that glorious hype train. I will very much appreciate it. And then I will take... Let's go back and look at this part here again. It's kind of where I want. Cool. So I'll be back in 2 minutes. We're going to be continuing designing city blocks for, well, now blue. Not that we really need the blue, but let's finish the design so that it's actually done. Then science labs, and then go back and do green and red as well, and then green circuits afterwards. And then poof, and the whole thing will work in the end, I hope. Be back in 2. Sorry about the delay. I got embroiled in a big case of children's logic. So, my daughter and my son, they wanted to sleep together because they can do that in the weekend. So they went to sleep in my daughter's bed. But then I met my son. He had just been to the toilet, and then he was supposed to go back to bed. I was like, no, 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 I don't want to sleep there. I can't sleep next to her. It's like, okay, then go back to your own bed. Like, no, 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 sleep on the couch. So he, instead of taking the 3 steps to go back into his own room, he decided that it would be much better to sleep in my daughter's room, but on the couch, without a blanket, without a pillow. So I was like, do you not need it? Like, no, no, it's fine. It's like, it's not fine. So I had to run around without my daughter waking up, get a pillow, get some blankets, because it doesn't make any sense. It's complete But your bed is right there. It's like, no, I want to sleep here. All right, you do that then. Where are you getting gears and pipes? I am getting gears and pipes from this iron part. That's the next part we are going to build. First, I'll build the other ones, which are a lot easier. The actual unloading locations here. That'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there was another question that I didn't like. Well, comment about how long it takes to fill up this part. So you're saying it takes... I don't understand why I don't have the... hold on. We'll do this. Quit game. Mods. Calculator. And then now on top of all the kid logic, there's also my ex-wife texting me. Easier to say yes. Calculator UI is installed. Huh. What's the command to open it? Installation. Search for the mod in game and install it. Well done, Richard. Well done. Control Shift C. That's all I look for. Okay, cool. Control Shift C. Woo! I got it. And how much was it? It's 220 times 4 times 2. 16,000 divided by 6. Then that's how many seconds times 60? No, divided by 60. That's... And it works the way I wanted it to. So this is actually working. So it takes 44 minutes to fill it up. How are we... Why would it take 100 minutes? Kiddos, how old are they? My daughter is 13, my son is 10. They're with me every other week. So Monday to Monday. So tomorrow, ship them off. And then they're not. And that was basically what my ex-wife was asking about, whether I could come by and drop off their things. I don't want a queue stacker because the demand here is so ridiculously low that it doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna add it here. It's very low. Sin Steel, I have a question. You're saying as a MECE student, what is MECE? Because I don't know what it is and I don't know how to pronounce it, but we have a prolific mechanical engineering. Then it would be, how would you pronounce it then? Then it would be a hard C then. Meki? I never heard that. No, neither have I. But we have someone called Mies82, who's a prolific sub-gifter, and I've been wondering what that reference, and I just saw that reference and I was like, okay, maybe I've just, yeah, never mind. Cool. Never heard that abbreviation either, and I am an engineer after all, but then again, what do I know? I was drunk most of the time. Let's look at an unloading station. The 44 minutes is still quite long. Yeah, but it's half as much as it was before you said it. Okay, so it's 44 minutes. Do I mind? I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just, that's just the way it takes, how much it takes. Mutually exclusive. What? Comprehensively exhaustive. Oh, that's, yeah, I think that's what I've heard before. Mutually exclusive, comprehensively exhaustive. Yeah. All right. If anyone wants to help me like you did with this part, in order to make a nice unloading. Can I just take this nice unloading? That's pretty good, right? That's a pretty efficient unloader that doesn't take way too much space. Here's the next problem then. It might not be taking a lot of space, but it's cutting it a little bit too close for my comfort here. So we're gonna try to do something else though. Hold on, flip. Does that work though? It does not. There we go. So it has to be that way. Yeah. The other one was actually better. Oh, damn. That's actually really weird. You're unloading the train and not the cargo station. Am I though? Am I? Two reasons. Okay, there are two reasons why I'm having this setup. The one is symmetry. There's a nice symmetry, especially if you look at builds like this one. There's a really nice symmetry-ish to it, but that's a minor thing. But the real reason is the reason that you just proved. People will come in and go like, what? Why are you doing that? That looks weird. And that's enough for me. Will the left side unload unevenly? It will be rather uneven because already here when going in, but I don't... Ooh, I do think that's actually a big issue. Yeah, that's a big issue. Right there. Really? Really, really? Yeah, no, but that's the one we get over here, where we have hopefully a little bit more space. So this part I'm not super happy about, to be honest. I'm also kind of feeling that maybe I am just way overdoing things. There's also a point where we could just have a single unloader here, because the quantities are just so low that it doesn't really matter. And that would just make it a lot easier, like this. Because this is like sulfur. How much sulfur are we gonna need here? 3 per second. Forget about it. Buffer. Each of these can still contain half of, or 2 trains worth. Right, 1 train can go into 1 box. So it'll still be able to, yeah, it'll still be fine. I still think it's going to be fine. And I like this better. Because then I don't have this mess. Not gonna work forever,
Your
but still.
steadfast loyalty is greatly appreciated.
Trivinix, thank you for the 4 months. You need to free up the train so it can go elsewhere. You only have as much train as loading stations. Yes. And how many locations will request sulfur? 1. Because the one that makes sulfur will probably also make sulfuric acid. So those are the 2 things that will be coming out. So the only thing that I'll be using the sulfur train is for this. But yes, you're correct when it comes to the next one, which will be steel, because steel will be different. So yeah, for the steel, it's definitely a thing. But for this, I don't think so. I will build it, attempt to build it, and then I will fire it up. I really don't like having to do something like this for the steel. That's not steel. That's blue side. That's red circuits. That's red. Red is a little higher. 9. Yeah, that's the highest-ish. Now comes the bigger one. Oh, that's really... well, I don't know. Let's start by figuring out how many of each I need. Hmm, 9 of these. But hold on. I also have to make sure that since there is actually an oversupply here, over time I don't need to provide as much as this, but just, yeah. Oops. Copy. Like this. Positive. Somehow that's negative. Okay. There you go. That's overbuilt for sure. So now the question is, how the hell do I do this? Oh, that's such a mess. First of all, this is definitely not going to be here. You're going to be... Go down there. There. So we can free up this space here. Okay, so... No, I'm not... Yeah, I'm going to use this corner. Exactly. It's not going to be pretty. Actually, hold on. Maybe I can do this like this part. Oops. So it's just make gears on the other side. No, I don't want to do that because then I don't know how I would get iron over to there. The thing is also I need to merge these belts together somehow. Does that work? Right hand side in the direction of travel, yes. And this part here, 30. That's exactly one belt. Oof, that is good. Is it? I think it's good. Top left? There? Oh, so that's what you mean. Oh, yeah, but don't I have room here? Because I think I have room here. I think I at least almost have room here. Almost. Almost being the operative word here. Due to overproduction. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know if this is also enough. So now it's 13.5. And if I'm making, then it's 13.5 divided by 2. That is not enough for... I'm only consuming 6. So I only need to produce 12, actually. Yeah. Okay, because there's no extra thing. Okay, 12. What about you, then? This is actually exactly what I need. So this underproduction and this underproduction corresponds to the overproduction here, which means the gears and the pipes correspond to the chemical science pack. That means it's going to take forever to balance, but it will balance. And the forever part is the part I don't like, obviously. So I'll build a little oversupply. And oh, this is actually pretty not good. So that's all powered. Nope. There. So now I need to merge this from a 4 to a 2 balancer. How does a 4 to 2 balancer look if in the professional world? Ew. Ew. That looks... Alright, make it red. But it's not a lane balancer. It makes sense. I know it makes sense. Like, you merge half of these in here and then the other half into the other one and go back. I really feel like I would do this, but I know that it's a little bit too balanced. Point is just, is it necessary? Like, how well balanced does it have to be? And I need a 4 to 1, so that's another caveat to this. Oh no, that's a tough one. Can I design that without help, or do I need assistance for it? Well, actually, I'm gonna do this. Let's get some personal flair to it. There we go. This last part, yes, this is a lane balancer. There are 2 lane balancers. This is, or 2 to 1 lane balancer. This is the corner one, and this is the straight one. They're exactly the same. If we clip it, then it's a lot easier to see that they're the same. Actually, I don't think they're the same. This is actually correct. Yeah. Good thing I did that. Thank you. Thank you for questioning me, because that was not correct. There we go. Sweet. Now we are going to test it. How are we going to test it? We are going to test it with some trains, I guess. See, this is red. Oh yeah, we don't have any circuit. It doesn't matter. We'll test something. Boop, boop. And we'll get some magic wagons. They are here. This will go to red. It's already there. This one will get to... All good. Then I'll build another one. This will go to steel. This will go to sulfur. Sweet. And then I will just go sulfur there. Steel here. Good. And then the last one, which is the one I need to pay more attention to. That's why we do that last. Alright, let's see if it works. This one is correct, yes, because it's on the side closest to. That one goes out. Stuff seems to happen. Magic wagon to delete stuff? I don't think I need to delete it. Only in 44 minutes do I actually need to delete it, so I think I'll take my chances. Lights for green pipes? Yeah, let's do something. Yeah. Damn it! Doesn't matter what I do, it just doesn't work. There we go. That's my intention. Oh, it wouldn't be up here anyway. It would be up there. Let's see. Still nothing happens? Why not? What are we missing? Okay, so something is coming. Okay, because half of it goes here, and it needs to just stack up before it moves on to the next. But it's also going to take forever before this part and this part, these blues here, actually start working. I think actually this part will take the longest because this is, both of them are pulling from the same belt. So we need this to stack up and push all the way back here. And then so that more flows onwards. There we go. Now more will flow onwards. Now it's only consuming the stuff that it will need. Here, it's coming. We have a slight overproduction on both, which is good. And we're getting the first little bit. 102. Great. So this is looking okay. I don't want to take that, even though it's not necessary. We'll keep it. Okay, we're getting a little bit up here that's stacking up. Great. So they are actually working here. These are definitely not working because it gets stuck in here. So once this one will get stuck with gears as well, which is very close to happening. Very close to happening. Very close to happening. And there we go. No. Okay. There we go. Now it's getting stuck. And that means a little more gears move on to the belt, which means a little more comes in here, a little more comes in here. Eventually, this will also stack up with gears all the way back. And then at that point, this one will be pushing in and then getting enough. Whew. Okay, so what do we now need? This was to confirm that it works. Now we need to figure out a way to summon the trains as we need them. That's going to be a little bit tricky. No, is it? Because we did already do this one. And I think it's just this one, right? Yes, it'll have a threshold. Because I'm only summoning one train. So it's just, if it's below the threshold, then do something. If it's above the threshold, then do something else. Good. We're going to take this in here. And get that sorted. I guess that one? Like, I'd really like to put it here. But someone else is kind of encroaching that space.
Our illustrious champion
We'll do that.
returns. Welcome
Hey, Just Too
home.
Nasty, thank you for the 34 months. One of the longest supporting Templars of the Path. One of, if not the longest supporting. I think it's Simple Code Rider who is the longest supporting Templar of the Path. Actually, are the gears and pipes input fast enough? I had problems with one inserter at some point. And I have turned down this stack size so they're not overwhelmed. I don't see a problem. A bottleneck mod would be actually be nice. Meant to design for engines. That's definitely enough. That's never going to be a problem. This is 4 items every 10 seconds. That's, I think, any kind, even a fueled one, or what is it called, a burner inserter could handle that. But this is woefully undersupplied, and obviously that's because we haven't stacked up this one yet. But you can see it's getting there. It's stacking up slowly, and then it'll be going in here, and then more will go in. I love this part. This is kind of one of the things that I'm always enjoying, just looking at and just go like, ooh, let this one fill up, and when that fills up, then this buffer fills up, and this one, just tracing it all the way back, and then it reaches the nice steady state that we've all been wanting for. There's also like the easy solution is just do this, and then it'll go a little bit faster. So I think we'll do that. That doesn't cost us anything in the grand scheme of things, and it'll saturate a little bit faster, better. You can see here, it's the gears that are not really keeping up here. So let's get the pipes, pipes. As they go in, it's only barely filling up faster. But hey, anything is good. Now, I want to see it sort of get a little bit of stutter in here. There we go. There's a little bit of stutter behind there. Will the middle saturate factoring in train times? Middle? This one? I don't know why train times would have an impact on that. There's plenty of space here. Basically, when this one leaves, I don't think I need very much. Actually, this is actually a little bit irrelevant. I think I've way overscaled this. Yeah, I don't want this to be working like that. I think I only want it... Yeah. There. Yeah. There's no reason for it to be bigger when it doesn't need to be. I mean, having a non-infinite amount of iron there and the time it takes for another iron train to start unloading. Yes, but that's why we have the buffer. But it's a good point. It's a good point. That's why we have so much. I also don't think I want multiple here. So how much do we have? Yeah, science trains could also be 1-1. They could actually be 1-1. I think I was actually considering doing them 1-1. I think that's better. Yeah. I think I'll do that right now. Look how easily swayed I am by your opinions. Damn, isn't that scary? Isn't it scary how easy I am to manipulate with? But wagon in front. Shut up. This is weird. This is really what we do. I guess. For symmetry. Shut up, AJ Westerman. My dad made pork ribs. Ooh, that sounds nice. Not bad. I don't know. I know I don't should want that because if we look at this train, it's also wagon in the front. But that you'd still probably argue that that's incorrect as well. Yeah, but I wouldn't. I like this. Yeah, if I inputted it, yeah, this is better. It's about symmetry, so I could just do that. Then you'd have symmetry. Yeah, this is so slow that I guess this is just gonna be fine. Okay, so now we have the circuit parts to deal with. That's over here. All right, so let's have a look. I am getting 38,000 inbound. The maximum that we can have here is exactly the 38,400 that we are having right now. So when it drops below 20,000, then it can go out and come back with another train of 16,000, jumping it up to 36,000 and then going down. So if we think about it, then by the time a new train is requested, then it'll have 20,000 left. And then I divide it by a consumption rate of, let's call it 30 per second to say it's a lot. That means it's 666 seconds divided by 60. That means it's 11 minutes. That means from the time it requests, it has 11 minutes to get another iron train in before it runs out. Not a problem. If Dinos would be a physicist, he would definitely be the one to find the supersymmetry in string theory. I take that as a big compliment. I don't think that's true. I think if I was a physicist, I would still be better suited as a content creator. So, and J-Magia, I take your compliment, but I have a problem. I have many problems. Thank you. My problem has always been that I've had it too easy. And therefore I am I'm not as smart as I could be. I'm pretty smart and I've never had trouble in school. I've always been top of my class, and the only times I was not top of my class was when I got lazy and didn't bother with it. And because of that, when you get to university, then all of the school schooling has just been pretty easy for me. And if I had sort of like the people who are really brilliant, they have it easy, and then they use that access to push forward and push the envelope and get even better and accelerate. And I use that fortuitous circumstance to just be like, I don't have to do so much. And that means I got a little bit lazy, and I found out that what I needed to do was a lot less than what yeah than what I thought. And therefore it was always like that optimization. Instead of spending that optimization effort on pushing and accelerating, I spend that optimization effort on like, I wonder if I have to read the entire book in order to do a analysis of it and still pass. Maybe I only need to read 2/3 of it. Then I don't have to do so much. And that's kind of a shitty thing to optimize, but that's where I spent my that's where I spent my effort on optimizing how little I could do in order to still pass. Shoveling and shoveling. This is set to 2. That's the level we have. They're not endless. They are idle a little bit. See, waiting for space at destination. So they are correct. I chose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. Vibe, I like it. Yeah. My college experience. I think that's a lot of our college experience, and I think that it's super privileged to go through high school and just not realizing you don't really have to put in a hell of a lot of work to get things done. Of course, you still have to do your homework, but you don't have to spend like hours and evenings and nights on doing these because it comes a little bit easy. And then when things are easy, you sort of can easily cope with the next thing, and it's just easier to be in that position. Anyway, but if you get into the habit that you have to work hard to achieve things, then when you get to uni and you get to college, and because you can also get away with not doing so much, but if you really put in the effort, then you can do some really cool research oriented things. And if you don't, then you just pass and then move on. And it's not because I didn't get good grades. I got good grades, but I mean, it just didn't really. It was always about, okay, how little do I have to do in order to pass, and then, or to get the grades that I want, and then I can do other things instead. So, oh right, this was a saturate. It was because it needed to saturate these parts. That's why. It takes forever to saturate this one because it's 9,600 in each. That's why. Exactly. So anyway, that's why no, I will never be the one who discovers any major breakthrough. It's also too late now. No one makes breakthrough at my age. Too old and calcified. All right. So if it is below 2,000, then it's definitely a problem. It's actually a problem if it goes below 5,000, I think. That's the consumption rate. 5,000 is... yeah. So if it's dropping below 3 minutes, then there's a big problem. Okay, and that goes out there. And that goes out in the network. Sweet. And the other one goes on the red wire, goes back in here, because that sets up the demand. This one will be set train limit to L, and the L comes now here. It'll be 0, yes. Good. Let's get the other one. This will be not red science, but red circuits. And I'm going to go with 5 here as well. And then I'm going to go with the other one. I don't like it. this is too much red circuits stored in one location, right? It just doesn't make sense to have this amount of red circuits stored here. 76,000, definitely not. Oops.
A kind gesture.
Kind gesture at most there. Thank you, 245. Thank you, Hightower. Here is a small token of my appreciation for your work. Cannot get my wife on board to support you on a regular basis. That's okay. Since we switched from Prime to HBO, found your YouTube summary of the workshop a few days ago. Trying to catch up on the streams now. Check up the live version. Awesome. Welcome. And that is perfectly fine. The thing is... Oops. That's not what I wanted. Think of it this way. Or maybe not, but that's how I thought about it. Like, when I was married... By the way, don't ever take marital advice or relationship advice from me. There were... I wanted a Tesla. But I couldn't really just justify that the amount of money that I would spend on a Tesla that I really didn't need, I just really wanted it. Then in order for me to sort of justify that, I would sort of go like, okay, well, that would also mean that I am okay with her spending the equivalent amount of whatever things she wants to have. Like shoes and bags and stuff like that. That was kind of her thing. And I was like, yeah, there's no way that that's a reasonable amount of money to spend on a new purse, a new set of boots or shoes and stuff every month. So kind of didn't really make sense to sort of assume that it would be okay for me to do the same thing, right? This is a problem, isn't it? Oh. Because how much is on a train? Yeah, that's not really accurate. That's 8,000, 16,000 on a train, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 8,000 on a train here. 16,000 on a train here. Yeah, so when it drops below 20,000, then set L1. So, my point is that it is totally understandable that your wife doesn't think this is a particularly reasonable thing to spend money on. Likewise, there's probably some things that you don't think it's completely reasonable thing for her to spend money on, and that's kind of how relationships work. That you kind of have to figure out what's okay. Yeah, I think this is better. But come on, it's a Tesla. Yeah. Seems slightly more practical than the equivalent in shoes and bags, I think. Well, I mean, it isn't, because a Tesla is just getting you to work and back again, and a hell of a lot cheaper car can do that. But you need a car. Likewise, you need some shoes and a bag, but you don't need like a new set every day or every week. And that's kind of the point. So I think it's a good analogy. Like, you need some, but you don't need all. This is going to be the same here. I don't want to have this much steel stored here. This is only when we start building it, it becomes obvious that there's a problem with this. Even better. Okay. So this one is deliberately bigger because I have a much higher demand. All the other ones, nah. Don't really need a high demand for this. That'll go here and here. Okay, so let's input-wise. Here, and into these two. Yeah. Then this will be steel. Now I have 19,000 in each, and I get 8,000 in. So 19 minus 8 is 11,000. So, whoops, when it goes below, and let's get it 20,000. That's when it drops below 10,000, bring in another. And when the total amount is less than 2,000, then that's panic mode. This goes back out here and then into the network. And this one goes back into the station, which will be set to train limit L. Cool. Now, sulfur, and sulfur, and we're gonna get the box amount there, and then you go back in, but I don't like this quantity. This will be less than 1,000. This will be less than. See, I'm only getting 9. That will be less than 5,000 now, because the train will only bring in 2,000 plus 2,000, 4,000. So it's actually okay. And this one will now go back into here and set the train limit. Ta-da! Train limit is all locked. Perfect. Woo! Medusa Army. How hard is self-expanding factory to make? Incredibly difficult. I think you need to be a programmer of some sort. At least have programming experience to do that. Because no. You need to be a pessimist to do this. Huh? See what I did there? And I think this is one of the things that has always bothered me. Like the idea, like, oh, you always look at the bad, all the things that could go wrong. It's like, it's a pretty fucking good thing to do when you're a project manager and you're managing the risk, or a product manager, or you're the one whose phone will ring in the middle of the night if you forgot something, if the shit hits the fan in the live production system and trucks are standing still all over Europe because it's your responsibility. Then it's a pretty good idea to be able to see all the things that can go bad and then anticipate them. So yeah, that's kind of what you need to be. It's not about being a programmer. It's about imagining all the possible things that hypothetically could go wrong, and then capturing and catching those before they actually go wrong, because they will go wrong. Like whatever is like, oh, what if this one is so fast that it gets there before the other one has recognized that, ah, shit, we need to catch that. Or what if this one is running out before the other one is like, ah, I have to catch that case as well. Yeah, so you need to understand logic networks and some math and geometry, and you need to be a pessimist at heart. You have to be able to see all the things that can go wrong, because they will absolutely, without a doubt, go wrong. And just, it's very much a systems way of thinking. I have to think of everything like a system, and just go like, okay, well, not just the happy flow, but all the things that, what if, and how long time does it take, and what is the consumption rate versus the production rate, how do I make sure that they match, you know, all that stuff. It's cool. But I think it's done now. What are we missing? Oh, should we have anything on the outbound side? I don't really think so. I don't do anything on the outbound side. No, I probably will at some point, but not right now. Good. So what I've now done is I've removed the trains that should not be part of this blueprint. This train should be part of the blueprint. It should be going from the blue, and then it should go to a station that doesn't exist, but we'll make it exist, because I need to make sure that the train is there. That will be one of these, and then there. Until full, and then go to that one until empty. And even though it can't get there. What? Do you have full cargo? Oh, you do have full cargo. Nice. Then we take the blueprint and we go down here for blue science. Boop. Blue science. There. Including trains, train stations, train stops. What is panic mode? I don't know. What is panic mode? Who said something about panic mode? There. 6 per sec. Request 2 trains at once? Huh? Oh, right. Yeah, I don't want to have a panic mode for this part. Because the... oh, right. Okay, so let me explain and then confirm. Here I have... When it's less than 15,000, request another train. When it's less than 5,000, request an extra train. Come on, get in here. But I also have ability to have 2 trains online here, which means as soon as you stamp it in, 4 trains will be sent in immediately. That's amazing. But I don't want it for this kind of thing because the demand, if we look at this part here, zip, 31, it'll get 30, that's fine. 9, 7, 3, that's very low quantity inbound. So the only one that's, oh right, so you're kind of thinking, what about and panic mode for here? Oh, that might be relevant. Yeah. Oh yeah, blueprint snapping is off. Yeah. I don't know. Now I'm kind of. I'm affected by the fact that I don't have room for it. I could move that over here, but that would also no. I can't do that. Then I'd have to move this down here. Get blah, blah, blah. No. I'm not having a panic mode here. Oh right. The reason why I don't have a panic mode was we already calculated it. By the time this one requests, it is 11 minutes until it runs out. So if I can't get stuff in here in 11 minutes, that's a problem. But these ones are consuming so damn fast that like the consumption rate here is 120. So that definitely needs not just 2 trains, but preferably 4 trains coming in all the time. Up to. Cool. Let's see. That one? Yeah. And red chip does not. Red circuits. Because it is 9 per second. So again, by the time it requests, it will request another one when it is less than 5,000. And we go back to 5,000 divided by 9 per second divided by 60. That means 9 minutes of time before it runs out by the time it requests. So I'm not concerned about that. Excellent. So we built 1. That means we need to go back to this one and actually cut a little bit out of it. Must be researching. All right. That's it. I guess that's kind of as simple as that. And when things are 100% even, that means they're not 100% even. Oh, I forgot my break. All right, cool. I'm going to leave this one here. The interesting thing is when this one starts sending some misses out on this, but it shouldn't happen anytime soon. We just calculated 11 minutes of leeway. So there, we now have a blueprint ready, and I will take a short break. We have 2 more hours, so be back in a bit. We're going to be finishing the science lab, then we're going to be working on greens and reds science, and then we'll see how that works. Be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sticking around this long. I know this is a long problem from now, but do you intend to swap out the blueprint book after each milestone in research so that from then on it's a more modern design and potential upgrade? No, I don't. No. Because it... two reasons, I think. One is that if I wanted to do upgraded builds with beacons and modules, then this is a very inefficient train system I've designed. Because I was more focused on having a space efficient train system than a throughput efficient train system. That means I will scale these up, and then all that will happen is that I'll run into another bottleneck, and that bottleneck is going to be called that. Also, I'll have way too many solar panels to fit in here. It'll be like 9/10 just solar panels. And the third reason is that it doesn't really change anything, because by the time I build it, yeah, but I guess if I can do the whole base in with these things, then upgrading them isn't going to prove anything new from a self-expanding base. Sign of a good architect is to know the calculated limits and bottlenecks of the design. Yes, that's actually it's a really core principle in my favorite book, The Goal by Eliyahu M. Goldratt, and the idea is that lots of people.
Our illustrious champion.
It's Neverly. Thank you for the 33 months. Home. All right, so something that I always it grinds my gears. Let's use a Factorio. It grinds my gears when people say that they are removing bottlenecks, and sometimes I say it myself, and it's just technically wrong. Like, oh, it's all about removing bottlenecks. Like, no, if you remove a bottleneck, you can't remove a bottleneck. You just push the bottleneck somewhere else. You will always, any system will always have a bottleneck, because if you don't see the bottleneck, then it's input bottleneck. So, or the consumption. Like there's always going to be some bottleneck, and it's much more valuable to know your bottleneck and design around it. And what I always do is I always do this part. I design around my bottleneck, and this is the easiest way to control my bottleneck. This is also why Buritan, where you saying that 700 is enough, is the same as 900. When I'm saying 608 is not the same as 6, because I want it to be want this to be the bottleneck, and I want everything else to supplement up so that I can maintain this consumption rate. This consumption rate matches that consumption rate, should match this consumption, this, and so on and so forth, so that I, all through my base, I'm matching up towards a common bottleneck. And that means if you optimize anything that is not your bottleneck, such as adding beacons and modules somewhere, then you're not increasing the throughput, because you're still going to be limited by the bottleneck. And this is the bottleneck for the production rate for sort of one module of the entire factory. And then once that's built, it can build another one and another one and another one, and so on and so forth. Except, of course, that at some point the train stations become, the train network becomes the bottleneck, either travel time or congestion. And at that point, there's nothing I can do. Like this one can be just stamped down another one, then it's fine. But train bottleneck is the one thing you can't really fix without restructuring the entire base. And updates is the one you cannot, you will always hit that. So, comb the poles. I don't, what was that, like shift? What happened? Why? It does feel like I have way too many, right? Are you including trains into the blueprint? Yes. Have you calculated the amount of trains necessary to have the base running at... where's that? 100% beforehand. No, I have not calculated that, but I am saying that each supply station will have trains included, and this one is not going to be a train. I sort of have a pretty good understanding of when trains will be the bottleneck. And if I get to a point where I cannot support, like, let's say I don't have enough iron trains, which might be a case, then they will not be able to support all the stuff that requests iron in the base. And what happens? I will then issue a command to build another iron base. So that might be one thing where, now that you mention it, I might actually want to have 2 trains here for each. That's actually I think that's a good idea. It's not designed with biters. Biters are... they're really complicated to deal with without artillery in an automated way, because then you have to just slowly push forward with laser turrets, and once you push forward enough, you can stamp down a city block. And it can be done, but it's just not very fun. It's not a very fun challenge, for me at least. So, this one I'm gonna call that done. Oh man, I am just realizing now that might be a little bit of a not being able to make it really effective. Why? Do you think I should start making a main bus base as a beginner? Yes, I think so. I know that a lot of people on Reddit hate the main bus, and it's Reddit, so everyone has a very elitist attitude. But I think that generally a main bus is the best way to organize your base for a beginner. And when I build a base, I'm 7,000 hours into this game, I'm still gonna opt for a main bus, because it's just so efficient and easy to manage, instead of making a train base. A train base is sort of, that's a stage I would rather do after a main bus. So I would just say build a main bus. It's the cookie cutter. It's been tried and true. It was invented sometime like 7 years ago, and it's been refined, and nothing has replaced it since then. And yeah, it's let's see, main bus. 21st of May 2020. 900,000 views on my main bus. I think this is gonna be the video that will break a million for me. 900,000 is a lot, and it's still getting 700 views per day. So in 100, 200 days, by Christmas, it might hit a million if it continues. And if we get a Factorio expansion before then they might get a little bit of a boost then. So yeah. That's funny, right? That afternoon, I remember that afternoon where I went like, oh, I better make a good one because this is probably going to be an important tutorial. Yeah, it was. Okay, what do we do now? I got a little bit distracted with this part. Okay. Do we think we should have 2 trains or 4 trains for this one? Oh, absolutely. Of course I should. Because if the supply here, or if the demand here is 120, then the supply is also 120. There's no way the 2 trains can handle 120. What am I thinking about? Oops. Nope. They will need to be exactly like this. Middle, middle. Yep. And then I need some kind of measure to define. Like, I always want each of these to have train limit of 1. But I want it to be 2 if there's actually enough value in here or enough stockpile in here. There. Yes. So. There you go. Measure is 2. If you're having fun, you're winning. It's a game. Remember. You can't limit that. Why not? I'm gonna limit it to either 1 or 2. Oh shit, you're right. You're right. Ah! Damn it. You're right. I don't like it. I don't like that you're right. But you are right. As usual, unfortunately. Yeah, must have 3 stations. Exactly. If you don't always, will trains get stuck in network? Yes, they will. Good. See, I mean, of course I know that. I'm not some kind of rookie around here. But I just wanted to see if you guys are awake. And I get at least 2 of those. It was a test. Exactly, Anthony. It was a test. I mean, I wouldn't make mistakes like that. It was obviously a test. And some of you passed. Some of you didn't pass. Quite. That's, well... Yep, that's my story. Yeah. Go away. And then in here, we'll do the copper as well. That was a mistake. This ass part has to be in here. Yeah. And this one too. The disadvantage is that they might both go into the same, and that sucks. But add extra trains, absolutely. You're right. Choo choo. I find it cute that they just zoom forward. And then save again. Sweet. And that one is also, well, it's not at all done. Let's build this one to completion. We obviously don't need this. And we're gonna have to figure out a way, like how fast was this one consuming? Oh, this is just 6 per second. So we definitely don't want very much. So this is also, oh, hold on. We decided that they are 1-1 trains. So, well, change of pace there. It could be smaller, but doesn't need to. And then from here over to that, from here over to that. But now this is going to be one train coming in, one train having 8,000. And this can store, okay, so this, I'll try to keep it sort of even numbers here. And this one, that'll be 1,000. Okay, that 1,000, oops. That should be it. And I basically go, oh, no. That's not correct. Yep. That should also be good. Yep. Why not use same design as in blue science block? What do you mean? Same design as, for what? If a city block loses its utility, for example, a mining block running out of resource, do you plan to replacing those city blocks? Nope, I do not. Like this part, I think you're right. I think you're right. That might be easier or better. Yeah. Or at the very least, more consistent. That's counts for something as well. Something like this, and bet it can't reach now. Nope, it's one off. It's of course it's one off. Typical. Top one can be shifted. Indeed. So, this one, I just need to get rid of this. And I think I'll have these two here and then switch the colors for this part into blue. And then switch all this to blue.